Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video. In front of me here is an iMac, but this is not just any regular iMac. This is a 2017 4K with a few modifications. One of them is going to make this thing quite a bit faster, the other, well, not so much. Let's talk about this iMac and what makes it unique. So first things first, let's get right in with the specs of our 4K iMac. So if we head up here to the top left, we're going to click on About This Mac, and it's going to show us a few details. Let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys. And here we go. You can see this is the Retina 4K 21.5-inch iMac from 2017. Now, right off the bat with the processor, this is where things get interesting. This has a 3.9 gigahertz dual-core i3. I know what you're thinking. Well, the 4K iMac shipped with an i3. It did in 2019. That was a quad-core processor. This is a 2017 iMac. This thing only shipped with an i5 and an i7. Those were both quad-core chips. So we're going to get back to this CPU in a minute, but this is pretty interesting. Next up, we've got the Radeon Pro 555 graphics card. It's got 2 gigs of VRAM. We have 8 gigs of DDR4 memory, and we're running macOS Ventura. Click on more info, we can see a few more details of our computer. Starting up here at the top, we've got that same thing, iMac 4K 2017. We've got our dual-core i3, Radeon Pro, yada yada. Ventura, there's our 4K display. You guys can't see that. There's our 4K display. Down here at the bottom, we have 512 gigabytes of Macintosh HD space. Now, this is actually an SSD. I went ahead and upgraded this computer from a 1 terabyte hard drive to a 512 gigabyte solid state drive. So let me go ahead and zoom back out. And now we need to talk about this computer's CPU. And to do that, I'm going to open up Geekbench 6. And that is going to show us some more details about the processor that this iMac now has. So you can see this is an i3 7100 clocked at 3.9 gigahertz. This is the entry-level i3 processor from 2017 with Intel's Kaby Lake processors. So why did I do this? Well, the 4K iMac from 2017 shipped with these specifications here. You could get it with a 3.0 gigahertz quad-core i5, or you could upgrade that to a 3.4 gigahertz quad-core i5, or you could go all the way up to a 3.6 gigahertz quad-core i7. The i7 features hyper-threading, 4 cores, 8 threads. Now, our i3 has 2 cores and 4 threads. So this thing is quite a bit slower than even the base configuration from 2017 with that quad-core i5. So if we open up Activity Monitor and go to Show CPU Usage, you can see we get 4 bars here, and you get 1 bar for each CPU thread, 2 cores, 4 threads. That's what we have. So why did I do this downgrade of a CPU? Well, to be honest, I just wanted to see if it was going to work. For the most part, iMacs have socketed CPUs, so that means you can actually upgrade the chips to whatever version you want. So if we type in iMac 2017 4K CPU socket, we should get a few different images of people that have done these upgrades before. So let's see if we can find a picture of the logic board. This looks like a pretty good one here. This is the logic board for our 4K iMac, and you can see there is a regular CPU socket there in the middle, right below the RAM, which is also upgradable, but you have to really get inside the computer in order to upgrade the RAM, which I decided not to do, because if you've got an i3, chances are you really don't need more than 8 gigabytes of memory. But what I did think was useful was to upgrade the 1 terabyte hard drive to a solid state drive. And let me go ahead and open up Blackmagic speed test, and we can run a disk speed test to see how fast our solid state drive is. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and write and then read a 5 gigabyte file onto our internal solid state drive. Write speeds are looking at about 420 megabytes per second. So quite a bit faster than the hard drive that was inside, about 4 times as fast actually. And the read speeds are closer to 500 megabytes per second, so that is between 4 and 5 times as quick as that 1 terabyte hard drive that was inside this iMac before. That means this computer is going to feel much snappier and much quicker than it did from the factory. Now, the SSD is certainly faster than the old hard drive. Is our Core i3 going to be faster than our old Core i5? Keep in mind, this iMac came with the 3.0 gigahertz quad core i5. That's a 4-core, 4-thread processor. Now we have a dual-core 4-thread processor. So we're going to go ahead and fire up Geekbench 6, and we're going to run through that CPU test, and we'll see what our score is. All right, here are the numbers. For single core, we got 1306. Multi-core, we got 2628. I'll go ahead and throw a graph up on the screen so you guys can see how this compares. But it's actually a bit slower than that stock quad-core i5, and it's tremendously slower than some of the newer iMacs. So this thing is not a powerhouse by any means. The CPU I put inside of this is definitely worse than one that you would have gotten back in 2017 had you bought this iMac new, even if you got just the base configuration. All right, so is this a good iMac in 2024? Well, if you hadn't been a dingus like me and installed a dual core i3, then yeah, this thing is pretty capable. It's got a 4K screen, it's running macOS Ventura, it's got dedicated graphics with either 2 or 4 gigabytes of VRAM, depending on which configuration you went with. Pretty easy to install a solid state drive and take out that old hard drive. It's got some amazing speakers. This thing is great for doing email, photos, you can do FaceTime, Zoom calls, anything Safari related, pages, numbers, Keynote. This iMac is very versatile, but I will draw the line with some of those basic office tasks. You're not going to be editing 4K video on this thing. Well, I take that back. You can edit 4K video, but it's not going to be pretty. I tried to use one of these to edit some of my YouTube videos. For example, I did an unboxing here of this iOS 4, iPhone 4, and I record all my videos in 4K 60 FPS, and that means that it is pretty strenuous on the computer, and the CPU inside of this iMac would not be able to handle my workload. Now, that said, this computer does offer a wide array of ports, making this a really good selection if you're connecting a bunch of things to your computer. So let's go ahead and flip around to the back here, and you guys can take a look at our port selection. We'll move the power cable out of the way. You can see the sticker here showing that this was a 4K with the 3.0 gigahertz quad core mid-2017. Well, it is no longer a quad core. All right, here is our port selection. We've got a headphone jack here. We have an SD card reader, 4 USB 3.0 ports, 2 USB-C ports that support Thunderbolt 3 speeds, and an Ethernet port. Of course, here's our power connector, and unfortunately there is no RAM door here. That is only on the 27-inch models. If you're wondering what's over there, that is the power button there on the left side of the iMac. So it looks super clean. I mean, the design is from 2012, but it still looks nice. I mean, this computer is really thin. Let's compare the edges here to our iPhone 4, and you can see just how thin the edge of this computer is. Obviously, it's thicker down here to the back, but overall, this is a really sleek design, and this computer looks very clean. So there you have it. That's been a review here of the 4K 2017 iMac that now has a dual-core Intel i3 processor. As far as I know, I'm probably the only one who's ever done this upgrade, so I think that means this is a one-of-one iMac. This is truly a special unit, and this has been a fun project for me. Hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at this iMac that I put together here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I look forward to seeing you in another one of my videos.